Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Zee Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
Today we're taking a look at this game right here, Flower Field from Horrible Guild Games. In this one you are going to be, like many polyomino games, acquiring polyominoes, placing polyominoes, putting bees on polyominoes. Maybe that part's not
unique.
that part's not
Yeah,
that
that's
common.
pretty unique. Yeah.
And trying to get the most victory points possible from groups of tiles and bees and whatnot. Let me go ahead and show you how the game works, give you a quick overview. We'll come on back. We'll give you some thoughts. Here we're taking a look at a game setup for 3 players. Now I'm only showing you the region for 1 player, but everybody would have one of these boards in front of them. Every player begins with 5 of these bees, and then we are putting out a number of tiles based on the number of players. Again, for 3, there would be 12 tiles with the sun somewhere in that lineup. There's also these small tiles in the middle and 2 bees in the center. The rest of the small tiles are here, and the rest of these large ones remain in the bag from which they came, and we are ready to begin. The game is going to be played over 3 rounds, and the round ends when these tiles, the large ones, are gone. At that moment, everyone is going to check their own boards. You are going to see how many of these beehives you have, and subtract from that every one of these spider webs you have. If you have a positive number, you're going to be gaining some bees. If it's a negative number or 0, you just don't get any. So you're trying to cover up the spider webs, and you're trying to keep these, reveal the beehives, or gain new ones even, as seen out here on the tiles. So on your turn, and let's say I am first, I have the first player token there, I'm going to do one of 4 things. I'm going to either take a flower tile, I can take a small flower tile, I can take 2 bees from the field, or I can place a bee in my garden, all right? Back to the top, take a flower tile. I can take the one right in front of the sun clockwise for free. Or if I want to skip it and I want this one, then I can leave one of my bees on the one I'm going over and take this one instead. You can do that as much as you want to. Let's say indeed I'm okay with taking this first one. I will take it, I will place it. The very first tile you place has to touch the bottom line on your board here. And then after that, every further tile simply has to touch a previous tile. Now you're allowed to cover anything in this game. So I could, if I wanted to, do something like that. Cover up that, cover up that. It doesn't really matter how I do it. It just has to obviously follow the grid and touch the bottom at the beginning. So perhaps I would do something like this, let's say. There we go. And now that I've placed a new tile, I am allowed to, if there is a bee spot on the new tile, I can add a bee to that. The first one in a colored group, in this case, this yellow group right here, corner to corner doesn't count, has no bees. So the very first bee is free. If I was going to be adding a bee to a yellow group, and already in that group there were 2 bees, I would have to pay 2 bees, and then take another one from my supply and add it onto that space. So that is my turn. Then my opponent would go. Perhaps they take this. First opponent, the second opponent goes, and let's say they leave a bee on this one and they choose to take that. Comes back around to me. Second option, instead of taking a tile, I could take a small flower tile from the center. In order to do that, I will simply take that tile. I'm going to leave 2 bees from my supply in their space there. I have to be able to pay for this. So I would do that, 1 and 2. And now I'm going to take this tile and I can place it again, touching a tile anywhere. Perhaps I'll put it right there. And now I want to add a bee there. And already that group has one, so I'll pay 1 bee and put this one in that spot. The reason I'm doing this, by the way, is because I'll be scoring victory points based on a large group times the bees. We'll come back to that. That's my turn. My opponent goes, the other opponent goes, comes back to me. Third option I could take is grab 2 bees from the center. These are not replenished, so I can take these 2, or I could take these 2. And again, you do not refill those spaces as they are taken, so the economy in the game is very limited. You do have to be mindful of keeping a handle on how many bees you have and how many you should be going to the next round with, and so on. Now, the fourth and final option, which I said you could take on your turn, was to put a bee into your garden. But that action, which you've seen me do twice already, you can do while taking a tile, as long as the bee goes on that tile and you pay the appropriate costs. So if I take this tile here on my next one, let's say my two opponents, once again, just did the simplest thing possible and took the tile in front of them. And then I take this, I could put this right here. Let's say I'll do it like that. But if I didn't want to or couldn't put a bee on here right now, that's fine. I could do it later on, but it's going to be my entire action where I would put a bee on there, and that's the whole thing I would do, okay? So that's your fourth possible action, which you'll do a little bit more rarely because ideally you want to do that when you're taking a tile. This continues with the players again, taking tiles, putting tiles out, maybe gathering bees, maybe grabbing the small ones here until the round is over. Once all of these are gone, the round's going to be over. You give the start player to whoever would be next so that you all continue around the table. Let's say I'm the last player to go and I take this. If you take anything with a B, you keep it, by the way. I make sure I give this to the player to my left. And then I go ahead and I play this, and I'm going to put it, where am I going to put this? I could put it right there. How about that? Again, you are allowed to cover things if you want to, as long as you follow the grid placement. And I'm going to skip putting a B on there for now, let's say. All right. So now we count. I do my my income here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the beehives, and I'm losing 1, 2, 3, 4 for the spider web. So I'm taking an income of 3. 7 minus 4 is 3. I get my 3 new bees. We replenish the tiles. We get rid of these. We clear this off. We put out new ones in these spaces. And we put out 2 new bees again in the center, and we launch right into the second round. And then at the end of the second round, we do not, we'll do another income. We'll set up for the third round. At the end of the third one, we don't need to reset this up or even take income. We go right into scoring. So what is scoring in this game? Well, let's take a look at it. You're going to be scoring for your biggest and most profitable blue region, yellow region, and red region. Then you'll also be scoring your largest white region. And then you're scoring 5 points for every full column and every full row that you have made. And by that, it is okay to use the pre-printed spaces on the board. They will count. So, for example, if I did this, I have that full line across there. That's going to be worth 5 points at the end of the game. Now, as far as these groups up here, you are going to identify which one is your biggest group in each of those colors. So, for example, let's say the game ended right now, and my biggest yellow group would be this one. You'll notice, and this is a little tricky to see, that while this is 2 squares in yellow, there's a solid line around the entire thing. So this counts as one region in yellow. This is one region, this is one region in yellow. And so my score for the yellow would be 1 region, a second region, a third region, 3 times the bees in there, 2. I would get 6 points for that. If I was doing blue, then perhaps, let me see if I can give myself a bit of a better scoring here. Let's say I did something like this, and I had that. Let's say I was doing blue scoring. Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 1B is 5 points. You'll also notice sometimes these squares are split down the middle. This square here is half white and half blue. And so it's kind of seems to be off the grid because it's a half tile, basically. But they come on the same piece, all right? And then the white pieces, you'll just find, again, your biggest. And for every region, again, you score simply 1 point. No multiplier. There will never be B's in those. It's just 1 point. So if my biggest group looks like, let me find a tile here I can put out. This would actually be not good because they're not connected, but I can't do it with that piece, guys. Okay, how about nope? How about nope? How about I don't do it at all? Hey, look at this. How about this? Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, times 1, 4 points, okay? And then red, and then the lines, and then you figure out your total down here. That is what you are doing. 3 rounds, again, emptying out all the tiles, which for 3 players would be 12, 2 players would be 8, and more for 4. And whoever has the most points, of course, is the winner of the game. So let's start with the look of the game here, the production, the visual stuff, and the tactile stuff. I like the look of this game. It sort of has a muted palette, which makes it look, I guess it depends how you want to phrase it, either aged or classy and timeless.
I think for me, I put it in the category of aged and in a positive way. It looks like very 1970s decor to me. You know,
it does.
Like,
it does. Yeah,
has that old hotel or your old living room with the shag carpet and kind of feel to it. So a little bit of nostalgia with it.
It is nostalgic, right? The game manages to pack in some nostalgia without there being really anything to be nostalgic about.
Right.
Just with the graphic sort of choices they made, the color palette, it being a little muted, it looks a little dusty and like not necessarily a bad way.
Yeah.
You know.
And honestly, I think that's refreshing because we are seeing a lot of nature-themed games right now. A lot of flower games, a lot of big bubblegum kind of art and, very welcoming kind of looks. I think that this is just as welcoming with a very different style to the art. And so I appreciate it. I think it stands out for that.
I agree. There's something serious about it too, which is nice. It's not sort of it doesn't have the look of something disposable. It has the look of something, a little bit of an heirloom.
Yeah, I agree.
As far as the production quality of all the bits and pieces, I think it's very good. It comes with a bag. The bag is lovely. All the tiles seem to be good quality tiles, good cardboard. The bees, I know you didn't like that they were only screen printed on the one side.
I don't know why that irks me so much, but it really bothers me that they're not screen printed on both sides.
Yeah.
Because you want to go quickly and you know what you're going to do, and then that bee over there is just upside down, so you have to turn it over. But, I don't know why. That just gets under my skin. Just print it on both sides. It's totally a me hang up. Has nothing to do with the gameplay. Yes. But I think almost every turn I said something about it. I was like, stupid bees, upside down again, Gotta
flip them over, They're good quality, though. The score pad, I'm glad they include a score pad. It's honestly almost superfluous. There's not that much scoring in this game. We'll come back to scoring in a bit, but it's a nice touch that they included it, but you're scoring like 5 things.
Yeah, and I definitely think we'll come back to scoring like you said, but I think overall this is probably in a family weight category for me, and I think because of that, having those little touches of the score pad, is it needed? No, but it just makes it a little less of a gamer's game. Yeah. And I mean that positively. You can play it with people who don't really play games, or coming off mass market kind of thing, and they might want that extra step. So I thought it was a nice touch. It was not needed, but I'm glad it's there. I think that it helps it fit within a weight category of family games.
Yeah, agree. A few other things that I do want to mention fairly quickly here that I liked. I think the game scales well. 2, 3, 4 players. It plays well at all the player counts. You have more or fewer tiles, respectively, around the center there, if based on the player count. It works well. The game has a quick play time, I also thought. Especially with 2. With 2, it's pretty lightning fast. But even with 4, it's not going to outstay its welcome. You're playing 3 rounds. It goes by pretty quickly. We already talked about the look, and it's sort of looking good. And then the other big positive for me is that the game surprised me with how tight the economy was and how interesting the economy was. This idea of your bees are basically the money, and you can spend it to take a tile that's farther out. You can spend it to take one of those special 2 square tiles. Or you can take a turn and take some money, but it's sort of a closed economy. If you pay 2 bees and put them in the center to take a tile, then on my turn I could take those 2 bees. They're not replenished. That space is just dead now.
Right.
The space in the center, at the beginning of every round, there's 2 bees in the very middle. If somebody takes that is not replenished. It is a closed economy.
For that round, yeah.
And the infusion of money is really just at the end of a round when you score. And you count your little beehives minus your spider webs or whatever. That's it. Otherwise, it's insular and it is tough. It can be pretty tough. I know you had games when you were able to get an economy going. You were able to salvage some money. You took them from tiles because, things were skipped or from the center. But you got to be careful you do not catch yourself running too low on that or your flexibility plummets in the game.
Right. One thing I'm a big stickler for on is wasted turns. I don't like in games like this where there's a limited number of rounds, and if you feel like you waste a turn or you're doing something and just hurting yourself, that's the only takeaway from that turn is something very negative for you or limiting. Right. And that's one thing that I think my favorite and highest positive of this game is I never felt like that in any of my plays of this game. I feel like every time you're either taking a tile that's going to help out in your tableau, or you're boosting up your own economy by taking those Bs, or you're taking one of the tiles from the center. Yes, it's going to come at a cost of a B or 2 Bs, but at least you're getting a tile, and maybe that 2-piece is just the exact one you want. So you always have options of bigger tiles on the outside, smaller tiles on the inside. So no matter what you're doing, it feels like the game is moving forward positively. And I really like that there's not a dead turn. It's not like, I guess I'll take Bs. No, you're boosting that economy to go a little bit further next time and get that really juicy tile that you're looking for. Or potentially being able to put those Bs back into your tableau when you didn't have that money beforehand. Not money, the Bs earlier. So you're always moving forward and you never feel like you have a wasted turn, which just makes it really a efficiency puzzle. And I really, really like that. So that's my highest kind of praise of the game, is just the feel of it, which ties into the tight economy and the selection of tiles.
Yeah. Switching gears here, I want to talk about a couple of things I thought were not as exciting, and that I'm going to start with scoring. The scoring in the game isn't thrilling. It didn't feel particularly exciting I like the puzzle of what I'm doing, but the thing I'm striving for is kind of ho-hum. It's not exciting. The game sort of hums along at a nice, even pace. It doesn't really have a lot of high highs and low lows. There's a little bit of tension as you get closer to the ends of the round, so I like that. But I guess I'll put it this way: the feel of the game, the emotional attachment, sort of matches this look. It feels like a game you play with mom or grandma, and you have a good time, but you don't walk away from this game. I don't walk away from this game going, whew, that was a rousing session of Flower Fields.
Right. No, I agree with that. It's definitely a choose your adjective at this point. You're cozy, you're weeknight, you're pleasant, you're pleasing. You're whatever game it is, it definitely fits in that category. But I think this is probably where we're going to disagree the most, because I was very relieved by the scoring. I felt it was very comfortable. I think we definitely have seen a trend in games to get more and more complicated scoring. And by complicated, more everything scores. Okay, score all your tiles based on color. Then whoever has the most of this gets it. Then whoever has the least of this gets this. Then whoever has the most variety in them gets this. Then whoever has the biggest gets it, and who has the lowest. And 25 minutes later, you've doubled the time in the scoring, which is also complicating gameplay because you have all this going on in your head. I was so surprised the first time we played when we got to scoring, and I was like, oh, that's it? It's so clean in such a refreshing way. So I think that's where I hear what you're saying, and it really is going to come down to where you are with that scoring. For me, it was so relieving to have that. Be like, yes, this scoring fits the gameplay that I just played.
Right.
I love that. They're right there again together with that match of this is the game I played, and the scoring's just as simple, just as straightforward. Right. The interesting part comes from also having to build up those Bs, so it's just enough. It's not just laying tiles and counting your territories or whatever. It does have that multiplication in it, which is just enough to have you thinking, but not enough to complicate an easy gameplay.
And to be fair, you did catch on to one of my hang-ups originally, which was you are counting zones. It's not the squares. Sometimes a zone is a square, but sometimes a zone is like 2.5 squares where the outside line is solid and the inside line is suggested. And it's like, that's just times 1? That's 1? Right. Yeah, that's 1. It's like, well, you caught on to that faster than I caught on to that. Mm-hmm. And I find that to be visually just not elegant. I'm sorry, that's just not elegant. And in fact, the half squares are one of my big hang-ups in this game.
Yeah, I will totally back you up on that. I do. I caught on to it pretty quick, but it was one of those instantly I'm thinking, oh, I feel like there's a better way to do this.
Yeah.
You know, just make them all single squares or, they're just, I feel like graphically there had to be a better way to do what they were going for.
And I get it. They want to be different. And this game is pretty different from a lot of tile laying and polyomino style games. It does some funky things. It takes what you expect and sort of makes a little bit of a left turn every now and then. I like that. But not at the expense of some visual clarity, and those half squares just look weird. And it's hard to... I get it. You can connect through the half square, and it doesn't count as a half. It's just part of the group it is a part of. But what? Ugh, I don't like the look of it.
I agree. That was a hang-up.
So, I think that's going to do it for me. I definitely enjoy the game. It's not one that's going to rise to the top of gamedom for me, but I like it. There's a lot of things about it I respect. I'm going to give this one a nice solid 7. If it is a style of game you are looking for, if you want a polyomino game that's turned up the sort of gears a little bit and made the economy a little tighter, that isn't as easy to do well in, maybe this is one you're going to like. It's certainly one that you can keep coming back to because you have to get good at it. It's not, the first time you play this isn't going to be, oh, that's so easy. No, if you make a mistake, you're going to be punished a little bit in this game.
Yeah.
So I certainly recommend it for people that are, interested in something a little bit off the beaten path when it comes to polyominoes. So a 7 out of 10 for me.
I'm right there with you at a 7.5. For me, though, this is one that I definitely could see myself reaching for in what I kind of call that weeknight category or cozy category, where, you want something that you can pull off the shelf. It's going to be comfort food. It's going to have a little bit of crunchy decisions, but not enough to slow the gameplay down. It's a quick game, quick to set up, quick to tear down, quick to play, but also engaging and just satisfying. So to me, it's a very satisfying game to play that I think I would hit the table just for that comfort food pretty often. So yeah, 7.5 for me.
Well, there you go, folks. That's going to do it for Flower Field's seal of approval from us here at the Dice Tower. Thank you very much for tuning in and checking this one out with us. My name is Zee Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
Enjoy harvesting flowers or growing bees.
Let's just go frolic.
Let's enjoy frolicking.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.